Um, as we go throughout the webinar today, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask the questions down in the chat section or the question and answer section, and we'll get to them as we go throughout the webinar. And as I mentioned before, if I'm not able to get to your question, please just send it to me in email form, and we'll go through it, or I can email you back. So what we're going to be talking tonight about is building your power team. These are really the tools, the people that you're going to use in helping you become a successful tax sale investor. So we're going to go over a lot of different things. We're going to talk about real estate agents. We're going to talk about how to do quiet title. I'm going to talk about finding partners or other investors, some of your online resources that are available to you. So we're going to have definitely a lot of information to go over this evening. Let me go ahead and get the question and answer set up real quick. And let's go ahead and get into tonight's webinar training. We're going to start out with a quote from Evel Knievel. A lot of people that know me know that I've been fascinated by Evel Knievel. I was born in the late 70s and just kind of there at the end of his career. And so as a kid, you know, pretended to be Evel Knievel on my BMX bike and just been fascinated by him as a person. And so this is a quote by him: "If you're never a failure in life as long as you get up." And with tax lien and deed investing, you know, you're talking about going out there and taking over your own investments. That may be something as simple as tax and certificate investing, where you go out and you purchase tax liens, you earn an interest rate return. That may be tax deed investing, which is really just a form of real estate investing. And so there may be bumps along the way. It's typical for any investor, but you're never a failure as long as you continue trying. And just being on the webinar tonight, you guys are taking those steps. So before we get into the Power Team presentation, I wanted to go over a couple of success tips. These are tips that I've learned from working with investors all over the country. Over the years, I've taught about 20,000 different investors, and so these are some of the things that I've learned from working with different investors. As far as your regular time, find regular time to treat your investment-related work like an appointment. If it's not in your schedule, it's not going to get done. And I think that that's an important thing when you're looking at starting a business, rearranging your investing so that you're doing it yourself, setting time aside each day, each week, whatever time frame you have to actually go through and start doing investing, start researching upcoming counties. And it's an important thing, and I think that you'll find it more beneficial to you. You'll find the time to be able to do it if you've actually scheduled that time. And so maybe it's on Tuesdays nights between 7 and 9, you spend time researching upcoming auctions. If you've set that aside and you do that every single week you redo it, or every single day, or whatever your schedule is, you're going to find that you're there, you show up, and eventually you're going to start doing some successful investing. Also, get into books that help you maintain the right mindset. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned through working with different investors and students is the students that have the right mindset, that go in there believing that they can succeed, are usually the ones that are going to have success. If you end up being negative, if you let the different things that happen control what the outcome is, you know, that can definitely affect your investing, and you probably won't end up investing at all. And so as you read books, materials, blogs, anything that can help you put you in the right mindset for investing is going to be beneficial. And we all have different trigger points or different types of strategies to help us get in that right mindset. And some people might like motivational information. Others might like more of your technical aspect. It doesn't really matter what that is, as long as that material, those books, those articles, put you in the right mindset to go out there and create success. Also, as we talk about the Power Team this evening, select the people on your Power Team wisely. No one is expected to be the best at everything. The task would really require an incredible amount of time. You know, you're not expected to be an expert in every single facet of your business. And so as you choose people that can help you in their profession, for example, like a real estate agent. You know, a real estate agent, their profession is selling property. And so teaming up with the right real estate agent may help you get higher returns, higher profit, because they're good at what they do. So even if it costs more money, it's better to have the task finish the first time, right the first time. And so as we talk about the power teams, we talk about different power team members that you're going to create for your business. It's important to think about that. Also, watch out for doubting friends or relatives. Many times they don't mean to do harm, but they can't hide their inner skeptic. I've seen this throughout so many different investors where somebody's interested in doing tax sale investing, and a mother, a father, a brother, a spouse, whatever the case may be, friends are incredibly doubting about it, negative, and will be skeptical about it. And so, you don't necessarily need to do anything, but just recognize that that's what's happening, and that their doubt doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have doubt. Avoid analysis paralysis. This really only applies to those who can never be completely satisfied with the information they find out about a property. If the numbers add up, if everything seems to make sense, and you still find yourself hesitating, you could be suffering from analysis paralysis. And for some type of investors, this may be a issue for them. For other investors, it's not. But if you research a property, you've come up with the value, you've determined it's good property, and you're still afraid to pull the trigger, then you might recognize that you're suffering from analysis paralysis, and by recognizing that, it's easier to move on. Also, probably the last one and most important, start small if you need to, just start. Those that don't have a lot of startup capital can find it easy to push it off and say, I'll get started in the future. The capital needed to start is always going to be used for something else. It's easier to do it if you take a relatively small amount of money and make a return on it. It also is easier to keep the money invested when you're earning income or earning returns through your investments. Above all else, just get started. Regardless if you're just going out there and purchasing a couple of small tax and certificates to go through the process, that's still an investment. You're still going to be making an interest rate return, even if it's a couple of $100. You could go out and look for tax deed properties that are under $1,000 that you can turn around and flip and make a quick profit on. You're not going to make $100,000 in a deal like that, but you might be able to make 5 or 10. And if you can take $1,000 and make $10,000 off it, that's a huge investment, and now you've got a lot more money to reinvest the next time. Here are also a couple of questions that I want you to think about as we go throughout the training. And as you're looking at different investments. Is the property located in your area? So if you're looking to invest, is it located within your own area? Is it outside your own area? Is it outside the state? Once you acquire a property, do you want to buy it? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to hold and rent? What's your goal with tax sale investing? Are you going to sell with a quitclaim deed, or are you going to try to get a warranty deed? Selling it with a quitclaim deed is sometimes called wholesaling. That's where you pick up a property, you turn it around, and the investor will go through the quiet title process, get clean title, and sell it for top dollar. And so you're just really picking up the property, making a quick profit, and turn around and selling it. Or do you want to get top dollar for the property? Do you want to sell it on your own, or are you looking to do it with a real estate agent? Have you determined your property's estimated selling price? That's an important, it's really one of the most important areas, especially when it comes to tax deed investing, is determining what is the actual value of the property. When I'm doing a comparative market analysis, I'm always going to use the very lowest properties that I can find. I don't want to inflate that price up to say, if I see a property, do some research, and there's property selling for 50 grand, and there's kind of the same type of property selling for 60 grand, I'm going to do my comparative market analysis on the very low end of that, because if anything, I want to be safe. And so if I'm able to sell it for 60 and I did the comparative market analysis at 50, then that's great. I made an extra 10 grand. But, really determining what that value is going to be an important part of tax deed investing. Now, with tax lien investing, it's really a lot simpler process because you're not necessarily acquiring the property. In fact, in most cases, you're going to be paid back your money plus your interest rate return. But within tax deed investing, we're really looking at real estate investing. So it's going to take a little bit more research, and you're definitely going to want to know exactly what the property will sell for, because knowing what it's going to sell for is going to help you determine your bidding price. Also, are you going to sell the property as is, or are you going to do any repairs on the property? Do you want your cash out now, or are you open to lease options and seller finance? That's really a great aspect of tax sale investing when it comes to deeds. Doing a lease option or seller financing a property. That's the way you can actually receive a residual income on a property that you were able to purchase free and clear. So if you go out and purchase a $10,000 property and you seller finance to the property, you're really acting like the bank. Not only are you getting rent, but the property owner is going to be doing the repairs. They're going to be doing those kind of things on with the property. And then if they don't pay you back, just like a bank, you go ahead and go through the foreclosure, foreclose on the property, take the property back, and just really start the process over. A lease option is another good avenue to look at, where you're essentially leasing out the property. It goes toward their down payment or goes toward the principal, and then after certain, usually within a year or two, they go ahead and get a loan and buy the rest of the property. So there's some pretty good strategies when we're looking at doing tax liens and deeds. I also want to go over one more thing before we get into the PowerTeam, and it's the return on investment. ROI definition is a performance measure used to evaluate the efficiency of an investment or to compare the efficiency to a number of different investments. To calculate the ROI, the benefit return of an investment is divided by the cost of the investment. The result is expressed as a percentage or ratio. Really, as far as a simple version or a simple explanation, after you sell a property, the return on investment will be the profit you make. All the expenses minus the cost equal your ROI. An example is if you were to purchase a tax deed for $10,000, you were to put $2,000 into some paint and just some general maintenance and fix up. You put $3,000 into going through the quiet title, so you get a clear title of the property. And with tax deeds, it's going to essentially go through the, you're going to receive a warranty deed, which essentially gives you a clear title. But as you go through the quiet title process, that's going to take it from what's called a quitclaim deed and give you a warranty deed. So you're able to sell it for top dollar. You're able to get, a title insurance on the property. You're able to get mortgages on the property. So if you were to, purchase a property for 10 grand, put $2,000 into it, 3,000, and you sold the property for 45,000, you would take the expense of 15,000, $10,000 for the property, $3,000 for the quiet title, and $2,000 to fix it up, and then minus it against what you sold it for. You would essentially make 30 grand on that property. And so that's kind of the strategy you're going to use as you go through and do evaluations on property. Of course, you're not always going to know exactly what those costs are going to be, but you can, to a degree, kind of determine what those costs are going to be beforehand and include that information in your decision on what the amount that you'd like to bid on the property, on that opening bid amount. So let's get into building your PowerTeam. We're going to start with a quote by Andrew Carnegie. Teamwork is the ability to work together towards a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. And when we're doing tax sale investing, we really need to have a team around us to help us be successful. You can't necessarily do this all on your own. You're going to need to have other experts in their field that can help you with your business. And it's going to save you time, and in the long run, it's going to save you money as well, choosing the right PowerTeam, choosing the right people to include in your business. So what is a power team? Well, the power team is the team of people you select to help you accomplish your investing goals. It consists of individuals that specialize in specific aspects of the investment process. You know, building a power team, I like to sometimes refer to it or use the analogy of it's like building a home. You know, my father still was a general contractor and a developer, and building a home requires the coordinated efforts of many contractors. He's been a general contractor for 30 years, and this is really his job. Is each contractor he has specializes in a different aspect of the home building process. He's going to have the framer, the plumber, the heating and air guy. Uh, he's going to have the the cement, um, the mason. He's going to have all of these different people, and his job is to coordinate all these people and building a home. Having all of these different people come together to accomplish one goal. Uh, this improves the quality and dramatically decreases the time necessary to build a home. If you were to go out there and do all of these things yourself, it would take a lot. It would take years to build a home. But as a general contractor, you're going out there and you're hiring the best people at what they do. You're going to hire the best mason to, lay the brickwork. You're going to hire the best framer to put together the framing and to put together the home. And in that way, you're able to create a beautiful home in a shorter period of time. So as far as the power team facts, members of your power team can be located in the same area as your potential investment. So if you live in California, you're doing investing in Florida. If you're doing, you purchased a property in Florida, but you live in California, you don't need a real estate agent in California to sell your home in Florida. You're going to want to find somebody within that market. If you're investing in several different locations, you may need more than one power team member. Using that same example, if you lived in California, you were buying in Florida, but you also wanted to purchase California tax deeds, then you may need two different real estate agents or two different members of any portion of the power team in those different areas that can help you with your business. Who you select for your power team is going to be dependent upon your needs. You can go ahead and add members as the need for services arises. So if you're doing tax and certificate investing, you may not need to have an attorney that can go through and do quiet title for you because you're essentially earning your interest rate return. But if you were able to acquire a property through the tax and certificate, then you may find that attorney to go through the quiet title process for you at that time. So you don't necessarily need to have that until the need arises. So how do you locate these members? The easiest way is to locate new power team members is to utilize established relationships to attain referrals. If you're working with a real estate agent in a certain area, they may know other members of the power team that can help you. They may know a title company. They may know a contractor. And so if you can use those referrals, that's definitely a great way to be able to do it. You can also use the internet. This can really be a beneficial tool for all of us in finding potential power team members. Also, find people for your power team that have your same goals, values, worth ethic, etc. So as you go through and you find people, you want to find people that have that same integrity that you do, have that same desire that you do to be a member of your power team. So here are some of the power team members that we're going to talk about this evening as far as the real team. These are actually real people that you're going to be using. We're also going to talk about some of the online power team services that are available, some of the tools that you can use. But you're going to use county officials. You're going to use a realtor. You're going to use a title company. You may use a self-directed custodian, an appraiser, a real estate attorney. You may also be a member or find people you can use in real estate clubs. You may use a tax sale coach or trainer. Just like this webinar this evening, you're learning, and I'm at least a member of your power team to a degree because you're participating on the call, and I'm helping you learn some of the basics of tax, lien, and deed investing. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the county officials. and they're really one of the great unused services by tax sale investors. Their job is to collect property taxes. Their job is to do property evaluations, property appraisals on every piece of real estate within the county. They can be really one of your greatest resources as an investor. Every county has them. They know the county laws. They're an untapped resource for tax sale investors. They know the area, they know the tax sale system, they know how the properties are valued within that area, and so using these officials are going to be a big help in your business. And in fact, you know, there's different ways that you can even have the county officials help you in a greater manner. Let me give you kind of an example. We're working with a well, I don't even want to give away who it is, but we're working with a county official in a county in Florida, and we've had a little bit of a hard time with them because just not very motivated in helping us through some, you know, she can be a little bit difficult to work with, and so we sent her out a gift basket, and you know, very, very grateful for it, and now it's like working with my best friend. She's going above and beyond the call of duty, so to speak, to help me because I was, you know, I made her feel good. We made her feel good about what she does. We, you know, gave her a small gift, and now essentially we have a friend for life within that county. And that's just kind of a small story, but you can, even just in talking with them, you know, building a relationship with them, letting them know that you appreciate them, can go a long way in having them help you throughout your business. You know, they may even give you additional tips on the county or what's going on with the tax sale as you gain a friendship with them. And so if you are, you know, participating in a particular auction, or I'd like to invest in this particular county, and you build a friendship with somebody there within the county, that's only going to help you year after year after year. The next part of your Power Team members could be a real estate agent. Agents know more about the market trends and how to sell property than most. They can assist us with a lot of different things. They can help us know the average days on the market. You know, how long is it taking for properties to sell within this county? They're going to know the estimated sales price and the average for the county or the area, the city. They're going to know the local laws and procedures. They can assist us with a title company, a mortgage company, a lawyer, a handyman. You know, all of those people are going to be members of their Power Team. You know, they're going to be members of their team, and so, you know, referring us to a good lawyer may save us $1,000 going through the quiet title process, or you know, having a good relationship with the title company, they may be able to get title searches for a very, very small fee. You know, maybe it's $100 for everyone else, but for you, you can get it for $20. In fact, we've had real estate agents that were able to team up with the title company and do title searches for free. They can sell the property out of state. They can do pictures and on-site evaluations. They can help you in determining the property value. Also, some of the agent tips, some real estate agent tips is you can use an online resource to find agents in your investment area. So, you know, if you're living in New York and investing in Florida, you're going to want to find a real estate agent within that area. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. If you don't have any referrals, if you don't know anyone within that area that can refer you, then you can do something is create an email that explains what you're going to do and what you're willing to offer, and really what you're looking for. You know, explain, you know, here's my goals. I'm a tax deed investor. I purchase property. I'm looking for a real estate agent that's willing to do this for me, and here's what I'm willing to do for them. You know, in the email, explain what you want them to do. Also, one thing to take into consideration is real estate agents work for commissions. You know, I started out as a real estate agent, you know, 15 years ago. Selling properties, selling homes is how they make their living. And so there's a lot of different things you can do to a real estate agent that's going to help motivate them in working hard for you. In fact, sometimes we've offered higher commissions. You know, we need this done. Can you help us? And if you are willing to help us, you know, we're willing to, instead of paying you 5 or 6%, we're willing to pay you 8%, 10% even. As long as there's profit within the property, then having a real estate agent that's working hard for you is going to be a huge benefit to your business, especially if you're selling property. If you're investing in taxing certificates, you probably don't need a real estate agent right now. If you acquire a property, then you will, and that'll be fantastic. But you may not need a real estate agent until that actually arises, till you acquire property and now you need one. But if you're doing tax deed investing, it may be something you want to think about. Especially if you live out of that area. If you live in New York and you're trying to sell a property in Florida, you may need an agent to show the property for you, unless you have somebody there that can do it for you. Now, selling a building lot may be a little bit easier online than selling a single-family home, and especially if you're trying to get to top dollar. In addition to that, real estate agents are going to have buyers as well. Buyers contact real estate agents all the time looking for property. They probably have a list of buyers and investors that could purchase the property immediately. And so finding a good real estate agent, if you're getting into the tax deed part of this business, could be very, very beneficial to you in a lot of different ways. Once you've put together a good email, send it out to them, then you can interview them. You may interview more than one. You may interview 2 or 3 or 4 of them and pick the one that works out for you best, that you have the best rapport with, that seems like they understand what your goals are, and as far as being willing to do, willing to help you in that process, they seem like it's going to be a good fit, then that would be the agent you're going to go with. And so build a relationship with them. Let them know that you're looking to be a long-term client. If you just want to continue reinvesting within a certain area, you've built your power team in that area, then in an area like Florida or Texas where there's auctions taking place all the time, having somebody within that area that can do a lot of this work for you and knows that that you help them make money, they're gonna work hard for you. Another tool that we're going to use may be title searches. Title companies provide title searches. They also, of course, provide other services as well, title insurance. But title searches provide you with the property's history. Now, as far as doing title searches, they're usually conducted on high-value tax deeds. It's just going to let you know exactly what's going on with the property. You don't always necessarily need a title search before purchasing a property, depending on the area that you're in. If you're investing in Florida, on a particular property, you may not need it as much as you're investing in New Mexico, where something like a mortgage can stick to a property. And of course, that's kind of rare. New Mexico's rare because of that, because some of those things can stick to it. But it's something to think about, and as you're investing in certain properties, you may want to have a title search done. They typically cost between $50 to $150. Many cities have title companies. You can pick up, you can hire one within the city of the property where the property is located. Also, a question I get, and so I just want to bring it up today, is self-directed custodian. There's a lot of investors out there that have an old 401k account, maybe with an old job, some other type of accounts that they want to turn into a self-directed account. Then working with a self-directed custodian, a company, is going to be the way that you do that. Working with the custodian, they can assist you with questions and help you set up your account. They can be used in many different ways. There's some fees to get started, and let's kind of go through the self-directed cycle really quick. Now, a custodian is the person that's in charge of your self-directed account. They're going to help you set up the account, and they're also going to help you write checks and really be there for you as you purchase tax and certificates, or even as you purchase tax deeds. Now, once your account is set up, then you can start investing, and the profit is going to go back into your self-directed account. So if we look at this diagram over here on the left, we can see, here are some of the different type of accounts that you can set up a self-directed account with. So if you have an old IRA or some type of, old 401k, you're going to turn that money. So let's say you have $10,000 in a 401k. You're going to the custodian is going to set up a self-directed IRA for you. Now within that IRA account, you can use that to go out there and purchase tax deeds, tax liens. So for an example, if you were to buy a property for 10 grand and then sell it for 50, the profit's going to go back into your self-directed account. And so with the self-directed account, you're not going to be using that money within the account to, go out and buy a new car. The money always has to go back into your account to keep that, to keep the tax savings there. And so that's just part of these type of accounts that you're really just building your portfolio within that self-directed account. And so it's not something where you're going to be using that money and you're going to, purchase a property for 10, sell it for 50. You're going to take 20 and put it in your pocket and then send the rest back to the self-directed account. It's all going to go back into the account. But you're going to be able to build that in a very quickly. And when it's time to retire and it's time to take out, the funds from that account, you're going to have created a pretty good little nest egg within it. Also, appraisers, they can be incredibly useful in your investment. They can help you in the selling process. Now, you won't necessarily need an appraiser, at least in my opinion, for figuring out the value of a property. That's something we can do ourselves. We can do a comparative market analysis on it. We can find properties within the area and really come up with that selling price as well as anyone. But they're going to be used if you have to refinance a home or get financing for a property. If you're going to get a mortgage, if you're going to sell it through a real estate agent, then you're going to get an appraiser and have an appraisal done. That way, it shows it to the buyer what the appraisal was, and it's going to, of course, give you the approximate value of the property. Also, a real estate attorney. Now, one question I get asked a lot is why would I need an attorney? Well, lawyers may be necessary to complete the quiet title action on a tax deed. Now, you don't necessarily need to have a lawyer on doing quiet title, but it's going to make the process quite a bit easier. Sometimes the laws are complex, and unless you know how to be able to do it, you're going to need an expert to take it through the process for you. They can also be there to answer real estate questions that you may have as far as the law is concerned. So what is quiet title? Well, quiet title is the process to establish an individual's right to ownership of real property against one or more adverse claimants. Really what quiet title is the legal process you go through to have a tax deed legally turned into a warranty deed. So when we purchased a property, let me give you an example. I purchased a property in Florida, and after we'd purchased the tax deed, we did a title search on the property, and we see that there's an old judgment on the property. Now, that old judgment is enforceable. It's not something they can come after us or come after that property because the tax deed foreclosure took care of that. But there's still evidence that there was a judgment on the property. And so what that quiet title process does is it takes it before the court. It shows that you purchased this property at the tax deed auction, that you're the owner of the property, and then the judge will essentially review the information, say yes, and because of the tax deed process, it's pretty well understood that as you go through that quiet title process, it's just kind of to verify everything, okay? This investor purchased the property, purchased it through the tax deed system. The property was foreclosed on. We can see that he's the owner or she's the owner, and now we're going to issue a warranty deed on the property. Now, you can still sell a property without going through the quiet title process. You can quit claim it to someone else, but you're not going to be able to get top dollar for it. You're going to sell that to another investor who's going to go through this process. And so it's really just the process of taking the property before the court, before a judge. The judge reviews the property, says yes, you're the sole owner of the property, and then gives you a warranty deed, quiets the title. So even though there's a judgment against one of our properties, that judgment is enforceable, but there's still evidence that there was judgment on the property. And so the quiet title process, really just cleans that completely out and gives you a warranty deed, which of course we can use that warranty deed to get a mortgage on the property, sell it through a real estate agent, because you can't get title insurance on a property in most cases unless you go through the quiet title process. Now, there's a couple services out there that will give you title insurance on a property without going through the quiet title process, and essentially what they do is they have their own research team. They research the property, say, yes, this is a property we're not worried about, offering title insurance, and then they're able to do title insurance that way. But for most of us, if we're not going to use a service like that, and we're looking to get top dollar for our property to sell it for the highest possible value, then we're going to probably go through the quiet title process. And so, it's a process that we're going to go through to get the full market value of the property. So unless you're looking to wholesale property, going through quiet title process is a step of tax deed investing. Here are some considerations for quiet title. Tax deeds are different from warranty deeds. Title insurance companies will only offer title insurance on warranty deeds. Lenders require title insurance for all loans. So the quiet title action is the legal process to have a tax deed turned into a warranty deed. Once the warranty deed is received, the property can be sold through the traditional methods, just like if you'd owned the property for 20 years and you're turning around and selling the property. You're going to be able to sell it for total market value. Now, as far as quiet title process, it usually runs about $1,500 to about $3,000. So that's something we're going to take into consideration when we're bidding on a property, because we know that it could possibly take $1,500 to about $3,000. Now, if you were to do it on your own, you can do it for less than that. You may be able to do it from $500 to $1,000. But it's going to take work. You're going to need to be within the area to take it through quiet title. And so as we're as we're determining a property, what we want to bid on a property, that's one thing that we're going to consider is, okay, that this may need to go through quiet title, and I need to consider that when I determine my return on investment. So we're going to include that within the price that we're willing to pay. Here's one of the tax title companies. There's a couple of them out there. There's cleartosell.com, taxsaleTitleServices.com, and they offer title insurance without going through quiet title. They're available in about 20 different states, and it's an alternative way to skip quiet title. So if you need to refinance a property, you want to finance a property, and you want maybe you purchase a tax deed, you'd like to finance it, get a mortgage on the property, so that you can take that money out and reinvest it, or whatever that would be. You're going to have to go through this process. And so they're willing to offer title insurance on properties without actually going through quiet title. Some of these companies as well, like Clear to Sell, will evaluate your property and then determine if they're able to offer title insurance, and then if not, they can actually take it through the quiet title process for you. Another member of our power teams are going to be other investors and partners. They can be used to help you fund partner tax deed deals. They can be paid to find deals. You can partner with other real estate investors from other states. And a great place to find other investors is forums, blogs, clubs, groups. There's so many different groups out there online. There's Google Plus groups, there's Facebook pages, there's Twitter accounts. There's so many other investors out there and different places online that investors come to communicate, come to have a community. And so you can go online within a certain area and look for investors and partners within that area to help you do different aspects of real estate investing. Also, some other potential power team members could be a local property management company. If you plan on doing rentals and you'd like to purchase several rentals over a period of a year or two within a certain market, then maybe having a property management company to accept those checks for you could be a huge benefit. You're not going to be getting those calls late at night. In addition to that, when we're purchasing tax deed properties, we're purchasing them usually for such a small amount compared to what the actual property is worth. So if you're buying a property for 20% of its value, and then also, once you acquire that property, now you're earning residual income on the property, you're not worrying about paying a mortgage. So all of that month income that comes in each month off the rent essentially is going into your pocket. And so paying a small percentage of that to have somebody else do the work for you could be a huge benefit for you if you really plan on, building a huge residual income. If you plan on purchasing 5 or 10 rental properties over the next year, having somebody handle all of that for you for a small percentage each month, in a lot of cases, is a no-brainer. You may need a local construction company or contractor, cleaning service. Also, one question I get asked a lot is in fact, I put it on the blog the other day. A question I get all the time is, should I see the current condition of the property? I'm looking on Google Earth and I can see that this photo is 2 years old, or Google Maps. The county photo looks to be a couple of years old. Should I get an on-site evaluation, or should I have current photos taken of the property so I can see it? And the question, I guess the answer to that is if it's a structured property, I recommend doing some type of on-site evaluation. Now, that may be you in person. If you can drive by the property before the sale, that's always the best option. But for a lot of us, that may not be the option. You may live out of state, the cost of travel. Any of those type of scenarios are going to make it really impossible for you to do an on-site evaluation. And so for structured properties, I recommend you getting at least current photos of the property, having somebody take current photos and do a quick property evaluation. Maybe take a couple of photos of the neighborhood and give you an idea of what the property looks like. This is going to be important in determining the property's value. Now, you may not be able to see what the inside of the property looks like, but the outside of the property usually gives us at least an indication of what the inside is going to look like. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. There's some services that will take photos for you. There's a couple of companies out there. There's one that focuses on real estate properties. There's some other services that will take photos. But another thing you could do is you can put an ad in Craigslist or a classified ad service, just looking to hire somebody to take the photos for you. There's so many people out there that are looking to make a few extra bucks. There's college students. There's different types of just individuals that if they can make $50 or $100 or whatever it is, depending on how long they're going to be out there doing it, to go out there and take photos of properties, maybe take 5 or 10 different photos on different angles of the property for you. That's going to be huge for you to determine what the value is, the condition of the property, and then determining if you want to bid on the property. Another thing you can, of course, do is if you have a good working relationship with a real estate agent, they may be able to do this for you as well. But if you haven't established that yet, then hiring somebody on Craigslist. I mean, you can even PayPal them the money. You can put an ad on, I'm willing to pay $50 or $100 or whatever it is, depending, and I need somebody to drive by these 3 properties. And everyone has a camera now. Everyone has a camera on their cell phone. They may have a digital camera, and so that's not a hard thing like it used to be. They can take those photos, upload them onto their computer, send it to you, and you're good to go. And so that's another thing to think about. But if you're investing in building lots, then you may not need to have a current photo of the property, or it's not as important as if there's a structure on the property. Looking at if there's a structure, a home, commercial property, something like that, you're going to want to see the current condition of the property before you go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars. If you're purchasing a structured property for $500, well, the land's worth more than that. And so you may not need to do as much risk, but if you're spending thousands of dollars out of your pocket, if you're spending 10 or 20 or whatever that cost is, you're going to want to see that current condition of the property, because that's going to be an important aspect in you determining and me determining how much I'm willing to bid on the property. When I purchase these Florida tax deeds, I have my cousin go out there and take photos of the property, do an evaluation for me. I have a little checklist that they go over and look at different things about the neighborhood, about the property, and then email me the information so I can review it and make a good determination. The condition of the property is going to help you determine how much you want to bid on the property. And so having the current photos is an important part of that if there's a structure on the property, if there's some type of home. A building lot can be a little bit different. If you're purchasing a building lot, chances are it looks just like a building lot. As you can see a if the photo's 2 years old, there may be a little bit more weeds or whatever. But the property is there; it's land, so it's gonna be pretty much exactly the same. But if there's structure on a property, a lot can happen within 2 years. So it's good to have some type of current photo as you make your decision. Okay, look at the questions real quick. Oh, dang it. Just erase those. Let me go back and I accidentally erased the question section, so now I'm trying to figure out how to get it back. Well, I'll get to it here in a minute. Also, having training or coach is an important part of your tax sale business. On Secrets of Tax Lien Investing, we include our training center that has all of our pre-recorded webinars, has our videos, has news articles, has our forms, our scripts, our ebooks, our live webinar trainings, our over-the-counter list, our online auction, our auction calendar. So that's obviously going to be a part of your business. You're going to use us as a tool, as a member of your power team, in helping you know what's happening in the tax sale market. There's some investors out there, and I've worked with investors like this, throughout the years, that can, read the home study program, they can attend some webinars, they can review the videos, and then they're able to go out there and do it on their own. Essentially, they're still using us as a resource, but they can go out there and take action. They can start purchasing properties. They understand the system, and they're able to do that on their own. And in fact, all the time I get emails from past students I've had, and they say, okay, look at this new property I just purchased, and they give me all the stats. Fantastic. I didn't even realize that they were purchasing that property until they sent me the results. And so, there's those type of students out there. And there's other investors that need more of a one-on-one help. That's where a coach can come in handy. That's where having somebody that's been there, has done that, and they can take you step by step through the process, can talk to you on a weekly basis, and take you through step 1, through step 2, through step 3, until you eventually do whatever, take you to your finished product or finished goals, and really take you through that investment process. And so, we're all on different levels as far as what we need, but having training or a coach available to you, even if it's just through webinars like tonight, or if it's working, one-on-one with an investor like myself, taking you through that process. We're all at different needs, but they're going to obviously be a member of your power team as well. So let's talk about some of the internet services that are available to us. Of course, the secret website, NACO.org, is another service that we're going to use. Google Earth, Zillow.com, county websites, online auctions, Realtor.com. Well, we're going to quickly go through some of these, and then I want to spend part of the end of the webinar this evening actually looking at upcoming auctions. I always get so many comments from our students each week that they really enjoy looking at some of those upcoming auctions as we go through and look at properties, as we go through and do quick evaluations on these properties. And so we're gonna try to get through this quickly so that we can spend some time doing that as well this evening. So the internet has changed tax lien and deed investing. Just 10 years ago, investing in tax liens required correspondence by mail with the county to obtain the list, sales dates and locations, extensive travel prior to the sale to conduct property research, traveling to the auction on the date of the sale to participate in competitive bidding. And really, I would say about 10 to 15 years ago. When I first got started in tax sale investing in 1999, there was no online auctions. There was no, research that you could do so quickly over the internet. In fact, if you wanted to do research, you essentially had to go down to the county, look through their, almost like going to the library. They're going to pull out a card. That card's going to be attached to some file, and then you're going to go find the file and do the research that way. Now we can just take that parcel number, go to the county website, and start researching the property records right there online. And so much has changed over the last 10 years. It's made it so much easier for investors like you and me to go out there and do investing. It's also given us the ability to invest outside of our own areas. We can research property in Florida or Connecticut or wherever just as easy as we could if we were in that area. And so it's made tax sale investing really pretty exciting. So what's changed? Well, first of all, the internet has really changed that. Most counties in the United States now have county websites. And most of those websites will have some type of property search tool, some type of tax record tool, some type of map system. All of this information is going to be beneficial to us as investors. They may also have record search tools where we can search past records, past information on the property. And so there's so much more available to us as investors that we can use online, or services that are available online that we can use in our business. Of course, Secrets of Tax Lien Investing is available for you. We have pre-recorded webinars. We have the auction calendar with the list. We have over-the-counter list. We have just a lot available for you, and we're also always building it. I'm never satisfied with what we have available, and I'm always out there, creating new information. In fact, right now, working on some information for Canada and out of the state investors from Europe or Australia. I get a lot of people from across the country that email me and have interest, and I had it on my old website, but I'm creating a new information for this. And we're always going to be adding, creating new materials, creating new services. If there's an easier way to do it, I'm going to let you know about it. I can promise you that. I'm not just content. In fact, that's part of the reason that I use the service that I do. My website isn't the most pretty in the world, but it's also easy to use, and the information there is important information. It's solid information. And so even though it may not be the most pretty website or the most bells and whistles, the information there is going to be essential to what the essential information that you need to go out there and be successful. NACO.org is another resource that we can use. In fact, they just have recently changed their website, and I'm still getting a little bit of the hang of it. But they're going to have links to all of the county websites across the country. They're going to have great information, including the county website, email addresses to county officials, the population, the county size. All of that information is important. I mean, if you're looking, let's say that you want to invest into Texas, and you wondering what county should I start with in Texas? Well, the truth of the matter is, any county could be a good county to invest in Texas. But you can use that information to determine the size of the county. Obviously, more population, larger area, more property in that area is probably going to have more property go to the auction each month. But then there also might be more competition within that area. So if I was looking at Texas, I would really just be looking at different markets. Looking at markets that may be going up in an area, a market that may have less competition, so I'm not bidding against as many people each year or each auction. They have them every single month. And so, it really doesn't matter what area within the state that you invest in, as long as the property has value. A $100,000 property in one area and a $100,000 property in another area, as long as that property is valued at $100,000, it's going to be a good investment. Or, I'm just using that as the numbers, and as far as just an example of the numbers. It could be a $30,000 building lot within a different market. What's going to be important is the amount of properties that are going to auction, of course, the competition, and you may need to attend an auction to be able to find that. You can look at the past records and the past auctions each month and see what's sold within that county, and gives you a better idea of what properties are selling for within that area. That information is usually pretty easy to look up within the county website. So NACO is available, it's free, and it's a great resource that we can use to be directed to the individual county websites. And of course, the county websites are going to be a huge tool for us as investors. They're going to have the information that we need. They're going to have the departments, they're going to have the tax sale information, they're going to have the parcel searches so that we can look at the property records. Your ability to navigate county websites is going to be key for becoming a tax sale investor. And you don't have to be an internet whiz kid to go through and research a county website. Once you've gone through one county website, and then it's easier, the second county website you go to is going to be a little bit easier. a third county website, you're going to go through the process. Even though the websites are going to change, the process is the same. You're looking for who handles the property taxes. That may be a tax collector. That may be the treasurer. With researching property records, it may be the property appraiser, it may be the property assessor. But it's the same process. May have different names, but the process is going to be the same. We're taking that parcel number and we're doing a property record search. We're taking that parcel number and we're researching the delinquent tax liens on a property to see if it has any other tax liens on it, or any of the back taxes. We're going to the county website, we're finding the tax sale list, the auction date information. So even though you may be looking at different county websites, that process is going to be very similar. It doesn't matter what county we're looking at. And so your ability just to go through that process, once you do it once, the second time, the third time, it's just going to become easier and easier for you. And you'll get to the point where you go to a county website and in a matter of 30 seconds, you've found the parcel search tool. You found the tax sale auction information. You found the updated list. You found the overages list. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to have the ability to go there, find it within the county website. And if you haven't gone through and researched county property on county websites, start doing it. Check out one or a couple of county websites. Spend 20 minutes a week going through and reviewing county websites. And you can even make it a little, you can even make it fun by looking at a tax sale list or downloading a tax sale list and researching 10 properties on that list just to go through the process. It's going to make it, it's really going to save you time in the long run as you become proficient at going through and reviewing county websites. Google Earth, Google Maps is another great service that we use. It's amazing to be able to type in an address and get a street view of a property. Now, some of that street view may be 6 months old, it may be 5 years old, but at least gives us an idea of the property area, the condition of the property at the time the photo was taken, the neighborhood of the property, and the satellite image of the property. Usually the satellite images are a little bit newer than sometimes the street views are. And so that's going to be a huge for just doing that first due diligence. We use it all the time as we go through on these webinars and use it as an example to go through and look at individual properties. You can, of course, download the Google Earth tool, or you can just use Google Maps, which is what, I have the Google tools on my computer at home, but just here on the webinars, I usually just use Google Maps. And it's also pretty good at finding the address. Sometimes I'll have an address that's maybe not a full address or a partial address. Maybe I don't know the city that it's in, and it'll pull up the information for us. It'll give us choices if there's more than one choice. And so it's really a pretty good service, a pretty great service to use, and they're constantly updating those photos. You've probably seen the Google car driving around before, taking those street views as it goes down the street, and they're updating that and changing that as they go through neighborhood to neighborhood. And so it's going to be a great tool for us. It is a great tool, and you're definitely going to use it in your business to do those initial due diligence searches. Also, property value websites are a huge tool for us. Zillow.com, Yahoo Real Estate, Electronic Appraiser. There's, of course, more of them out there as well. Trilia, there's quite a few of them out there that we can use for determining what the property value is. And they also contain a lot of additional information that will be helpful for us. Zillow.com helps you determine the property value. You can locate comparables using it. They use satellite image. They also include, they may include street views. They're going to include the real estate prices within that neighborhood. They also include the county information. It's really just a data mining system where they're just pulling data constantly from all of these different sources. So they may, if there's a home on the property, they're going to tell you how many square feet it is, when it was built, when it was sold, how many bedrooms, how many baths. And so as I'm doing that first initial research on a property, I may use the Zillow service before I actually get into the property records, just to see what the property value is, to see some of that basic information that's available. And if it looks like a good property, then I'll go through and I'll research the county record more on the property. And so I use it as I'm going through a list and I'm looking at each property for 30, 45 seconds, determine which ones I'm interested in. I'll type in the address quickly to Zillow, copy and paste it, check out what it is, check out the street view on Google Maps, and then if it's a property I'm interested in, then I'll set it aside and do more due diligence on it. You can see some of the features that are available. You can see the information. Also, if the property's been sold or has been tried to be sold recently, we can see that information as well. So if we see a property for sale that's coming up for auction, it's probably because the property owner was trying to sell that before the auction takes place, but they're going to have information on that property. You know, maybe they have what they're asking for it. You know, this property right here is a good example of it. This is a property that was coming up for a tax deed sale at one time, and we can see that you know, they're currently asking $97,000 for it. You know, also down here is a property description from the property owner or the real estate agent about what this property entails. And so any of that information is going to be available for us on a site like Zillow.com, and we can use that just to get a good idea. I mean, we're not going to do, you know, use this information as solid. You know, we're going to go to the county record just to verify, but at least gives us an idea of what the property value is, what the condition of the property, what the property values within the neighborhood are, to determine if we want to do some additional due diligence on it. Realtor.com is another website. This is, of course, the website for real estate agents, realtors that have signed up with the National Association of Realtors. It can help you access the MLS listing. You can compare prices of similar properties that have sold or currently listed for sale. You can check out how many properties are available for sale within a certain area. You can check by location, you can check by price, you can check by how many bedrooms, how many baths. It's available, it's free, and so it's definitely a service that we can use within our business. Also, online auction websites, Bid for Assets, realauction.com, taxsale.com, Grass Street Group. These are all online auction services, of course, that we've gone over in other trainings, and these are, of course, part of the services that we can use in our business. So as far as the investor checklist, these are some of the things that we're going to go through, or some of the steps that we're going to go through in making a decision on a property. So the first thing we're going to do before the auction takes place is we're going to register for it. Once we've registered for the auction, then we're going to research the auction list. We're going to go through and review the list. Once we've picked out some properties, then we're going to determine the property value. We're going to see what the property is valued at. We're going to determine if it's a good property, if it's a good value. Once we've determined that property value, made a decision on how much we're going to pay on the property, then we're going to bid at the auction. And so the bidding is going to take place on the auction website or live at the auction. Once we've bid on the property, if we're awarded the property, then we're going to go ahead and pay for the winning. Pay as the winning bidder. Now, usually the payments are going to be required within 24 hours. Sometimes they may be required directly after the sale. Just really depends. You know, if it's a live auction, they may require you to, you know, if you're attending an auction at the county courthouse, they may require the payments right there by the end of the auction. It just really depends on the individual county. Then also the post-sale thoughts or things that we're going to look at is determining your exit strategy. Are you looking to buy and hold the property? Are you looking to flip the property for a profit? Are you looking to gain residual income either by renting or selling, renting or seller financing or lease optioning the property? You know, those are important things to know really even before you bid on the property. At least have an idea, hey, I'd like to turn around and flip this property, make a profit, or, you know, I'd really like to build residual income and gain rentals. Well, you're going to want to at least have that idea before you actually bid on the property. Another question you can ask yourself is, are you looking to sell the property as a wholesale investor, where you turn around and flip the property with a quitclaim deed? So you have that quitclaim deed, you turn around and sell it for a profit. Or are you looking to get total market value out of the property? And so if we're looking to get the highest possible value out of the property, the highest possible price, then we're going to go through that quiet title process, where we turn around and sell a property for a profit. So what we're going to do now is some of my favorite part of the webinars is we're going to start researching upcoming auctions. We're going to check out some properties that are available and start looking at some individual auctions. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the website. From here, we're going to go ahead and log in. Now, all of you that are on the line tonight have been set up with the username and password. From there, we're just going to go ahead and click on the Member Center. We're going to type in our username and our password. We're going to go ahead and log in. Now, once we've logged in, we can start researching any of the additional information. We can start researching the online auctions. We can look at the over-the-counter list. We can check out the auction calendar. We can go to the Profile Center and review the different state profiles, the investor profiles. And then we can also check out the Training Center, which has all of the training, the videos, and the information that's available there. But what we want to do is we want to go ahead and look at some upcoming auctions. And I like to use online auctions. Not that live auctions aren't, great investments as well, but with online auctions, it gives a chance for everyone to check it out, and it's possible to purchase any of these properties online. So we're going to go ahead and click on online auctions. We can see we have online tax lien auctions, tax deed auctions, and redemption deed auctions. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and look at some of the upcoming online tax deed auctions. So we're going to go ahead and click on tax deed auctions. We can see the states that have upcoming auctions. Now, we actually looked at some of these properties last week. We looked at the San Mateo auctions coming up, and there's really some incredible properties. This is located within San Francisco, and there's some properties with $24,000 opening bids. They have a market value of $1.2 million. There's a property coming up with a $200,000 opening bid, or maybe it's 210, 220, something around there, where the property's worth over $4 million. So we're not going to spend a lot of time going through these individual properties, but I kind of want to take you through the process, even though we went through this particular county last week, just because the auction's coming up, and I think it's this is looks like to be some pretty good property. Now, of course, we can see all of the basic information here. We can see when the auction takes place, August 8th through August 11th. We can see there's 102 tax defaulted properties. And as we continue to scroll down, we're going to have the individual online auction list right here. So if we were to click on any of these online lists, we can see the properties that are being offered. We can also go ahead and click on the Excel file. Now, usually if I'm looking at a large list, I like to download the Excel file because it's going to have a lot of information. It's going to contain many times the assessed value of the property, the address of the property, and it'll give me the chance to go through one of these lists and really delete properties that I'm not interested in there at the very beginning, maybe because of the price of the property, maybe because the assessed value of the property, maybe because it doesn't have an address, whatever it is, I'm able to delete that information and then narrow that list down. So maybe I have 110 properties to begin with, but after I review the information that's available on the list using the quick glance method, we talked about that in one of the past webinars. We have some videos on it in the video library of the website that teaches you how to go through and do the quick glance method. And that's just really reviewing a tax sale list, narrowing that tax list down to a manageable number of tax liens or deeds that you can research. And so that's usually the process we'll go through. We can see some of the properties here. I'm just going to show you one or two of them just for the example's sake. We can see here a property. It looks like to have a photo on the property. This is one of the ones that I was mentioning we looked at last week. We can see the property photo right here. If we were to go ahead and click on the parcel image, it's going to pull up the image of the property. It looks to be a really pretty nice property. What we're going to do from here is we're going to go ahead and go to Zillow. And I'm also going to open up another page so that we can go ahead and go to Google Maps. We can see information on the property right here. We can click on the parcel image. And we also see the address right there. So what we're doing right now is we're not getting into the full due diligence of the property where we go through and do a comparative market analysis on the property. We're just going through and doing some quick basic research so we can determine which ones we're interested in. And as the auction comes closer, then we're going to get into the due diligence. You don't want to do hardcore due diligence on property a month before the auction because there's a chance that property may not be available at the auction. Usually I recommend anywhere between 2 weeks at the soonest down to a week before the sale, maybe even less time than that depending on how quickly you can do it. But I recommend doing that final due diligence, determine what you're willing to bid on the property as close as you can to the auction. because I don't want you wasting time doing research on a property that you're not going to have a chance to get bid on. If you have 10 properties that you've researched that you're interested in, a week before the sale, well, there's a chance that you're going to at least have 7, 8 of those properties available uh, before at the actual auction, even if we were to say 50% of them within those last 5 days. But usually properties are going to get repaid off within, when the list comes out. When the list comes out and we receive the list, those property owners have already been warned that this is taking place. And so usually those property owners are going to try to pay that off as quickly as possible. And then within those last couple of days, there'll be a couple that go ahead and pay it off. But many times, I would say probably within a week, you're going to have at least 60, 70%, maybe even higher. Sometimes you'll have way higher than that actually will be there available at the sale. So we've typed in the property address. And here's that one I was talking about that has it's worth 1.2 million. And of course, we can see here that it has an opening bid of $27,000. So we're looking at a $27,000 property here that has a value of over $1 million. This type of property is, even if this property got bid up to several $100,000, there would still be a huge room for profit. We can also do a quick Zillow search on it. I mean a Google map search. We can see the back side of the property right there. So here's the property right here. We're looking at the back side. Here's a little private drive. They didn't go through and look at that, so we can't see the front of the property. We can see the front of the property, of course, right here. And then we can see the back of the property. I also really like to use just the overhead view of the property. I'll go ahead and click down on the Earth view so I can see the satellite image, just to get an idea of the area, what's within the area, where the property is located. Usually you can actually determine a lot from this overhead view. You can see if the property looks a little bit run down, if there's lots of abandoned cars or wrecked properties. You can kind of tell, and just even let me kind of show you. Just look at this property. Well, we can see, this looks to be a newer subdivision. It's up on the mountainside. Well, we know that. We can see it looks to be like maybe a water tank right here. So we know we're up on the mountainside. We can see a tennis court down here, a gym right here, recreation center. Really, overall, looks to be in a pretty good location. Looks to be pretty nice homes. And so we know a lot about this, even just looking at this property, of where this property is located. Also, using Zillow, we can see what some of these properties are valued. Looks like a lot of them are valued, 1.2, 1.25, 1.26, 1.2, 1.3, 1.1. We can get a good idea of what these properties are valued. Then also over here, we can see kind of that bird's eye view, property located right here. So overall, this would be an incredible investment. Even if the bidding got a little bit more competitive, and this property got bid all the way up to 50% of its value, there would still be over $600,000 worth of profit that could be had, and that would be if you took it all the way to 50% of its value. Here's another property we can see right here. Look at the parcel image. Looks to be like another great property coming up for auction. This property has an opening bid of $72,000. We can see here's another single-family home right here. This property we did research on last week, and it was worth about $750,000. So we're looking at a $34,000 bid, a property that's worth $750,000. And you can go through this process and review any of these properties. This property here, we can see it looks like it's on the beach. And we could do some more research to find out where this property is located, from the map view, and determine if it's a good value property based on that opening bid amount of $87,000, so pretty high opening bid amount. But this property may be worth over $1 million. We don't know. And doing some basic due diligence, taking that parcel number, going to the county record and researching the property, looking at the overhead maps that are available. Most counties are going to have some type of mapping tool that we can use, which are going to give us the property lines and the overhead satellite image of the property and the size of the property. All that information is going to be important. And in addition to that, they're going to have the assessed value. One thing I also wanted to show you as well, and there's going to be lots of auctions coming up. This is bidforassets.com. Last week we talked about online auctions and the online auction services that are available. We can see the different auctions coming up. Now here's one for Thurston County, Washington. So you can see with this particular property, it's just really one property. Very, very small sale. They only have one property available with a $13,000 opening bid. We can go ahead and click here to click the assessor's information. We can see, and also one thing we're looking at right here is we can see that there's improvement value and there's land value, so there has to be some type of structure here. Of course, we can take that address information, go back to the Google Maps, and we can see what the property is. So it looks to be right here. Now, it doesn't look like this particular property has a street side view. So for whatever reason, they haven't done any street side views here. See the property right here. We definitely, if we're investing in this property, and really it looks like if that's a roof, it looks like to be a pretty older roof. And so we definitely want to do some research on this property to determine what it really is. Have somebody take a current photo of the property to determine what the property actually is before we were to go out there and purchase it. And click here on the structures and see if it says anything. So it looks like it was a 1961 Rambler. The condition is very poor. Construction quality fair. 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So we're really looking at a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. And then we can see all of these different tabs here that can give us additional information. We can click on sales information and see what the property sold for. We can click on the value report. Here's information here. We can see the information here as well, where they have the property value listed about $59,000. We see the cost estimate here. They estimated to be about $75,000. So we could review that information if we'd like. We can click on the map, the owner information. There's just different tools, and we're going to obviously want to go through any of this information if we plan on bidding on the property. Okay, so this is interesting. They have the sale property here as a tax deed sold in 1/24/2014 or 1/22/2014. So either this property was offered for sale and didn't get sold, or it was offered for sale. The person bid on the property and they didn't pay for the property, because we can see that the buyer is Thurston County, Washington. And we would just go through the exact same process with any of the properties that we wanted to research. We can see all of these auctions coming up. Los Angeles is coming up. And we can see all of these properties that are going to be coming up for sale within Los Angeles. Now, each one of these are called a batch. So we can see all of these are different batches. And all a batch means it's just a certain amount of properties that are coming up for sale. So we can see this batch has, whatever that is, maybe 20 different properties. Now this is a good example, and this is part of the reason I like to use the Excel files to help me determine the different properties and narrow down this list, because we can see all of these different, look at all of these different batches, and each one of these batches has all, 20 or 30 properties on each batch. And the information that they make available to us is very minimal. We just see the county and then the parcel number. And so we'd have to click on each one of these properties to determine what the opening bid is. you know, 1,125. Go down here, see it's a vacant lot. Click on the parcel map. We can see the assessor's information. And click on any of that information to pull up the individual property information. And so what I like to do, guys, is I like to download the Excel list here. That way I can view the entire list at one time. So we went ahead and downloaded that. We're going to pull up that list. And then I can look at the entire list at one time. Maybe. Come on, what's your problem? Now it's catching up. Okay. Let me erase a couple of these. And we're going to start looking at this list. Okay. So here's the tax sale list that we're looking at. Now, first of all, we can see information. First thing we can see the auction ID. And what I love about these lists is see how that each one of these auction IDs has a link next to it. We can go ahead and click on that link, and it's going to take us to the page here on the website and look at the online file. So that saves a lot of time in trying to find the APN number from the website. We can just click on these individual links. So as I'm reviewing a list, there's some information that is not really going to be that important for me to look at as I'm looking at this list. So I just may erase that information. We can always download a new list. At this point, I don't need the legal description. I don't need the county item. I don't need the auction date. But what I do need is this information that's available right here. The minimum bid amount. And it actually looks like every one of these properties is starting at the same minimum bid amount. So we're looking at every one of these properties has an opening bid amount of $1,125. And so this must be some type of resale to a degree, where they're just selling every property at the same opening bid amount. Now there's another auction that we can look at that has opening bid amounts of $100. I usually don't see them start at $1,125, but for whatever reason, that's what they started at. Now, next thing we're going to look at here is the property address. Now, we can see that there's a lot of vacant land available. That's not necessarily, a bad thing. They may have value. But what makes it nice is having a property address that we can use to research the property. Then also what's incredibly valuable is this information over here, the land value. And then, of course, the improvement value as well if there's improvement values. And so as we look at this opening bid amount, we know that it's all going to be the same on this particular list. And if there's an address on the property, we can go ahead and research it. So here we're looking at one property, Shareview Place, with a opening bid of $1,125, but it has a land value of $214. So that looks to be like a pretty good property. Now, of course, it doesn't have any improvement value, so it's most likely land. But we can see the property information right here. So what we're going to do is we have this property address. We're just going to see what it is quickly. On Google Earth or Google Maps. So we can see the property is located right here. There seems to be a house down here below. So it's probably a building lot right here within this area. We can click on the street view. And it may be this property right up here. I don't know thought they took us down in a little bit different position. Let's go back up and look again. One thing that also comes in really handy with looking at lots and looking at land is property is using the county map services. The map service, when we use that, it'll actually show us exactly where the property lines are in conjunction with the other homes. It definitely looks like to be a nice area. We can see some really nice expensive homes here, and it must be this land rate located right here. And so what we want to do is we want to check the county records and find out exactly what this is. And of course, when we're looking at land, we need to make sure of a couple of things. First of all, we need to make sure it's sellable, that it has use, and that it has value. If the property can be used for something and it has value, it's usually going to be a pretty good investment. If this was just a small strip of land here within the backyard, 2 feet by 100 feet, that probably doesn't have a lot of use. We can't. You might be able to sell it to the property owner, but you're not going to have a lot of use with that property, regardless of the value. So those are the two things we need. We need use and we need value, and really we need both of them to have it be a good decision. Let's say that it doesn't have any use, but it has some value. That just may be the county's assessed value. If there's nothing we can do for it, if we can't transfer it, if we can't sell it, then it shouldn't be something that we're interested in looking into. And we can see that there's lots of different properties here. Some of them is just valued, to $5,000, but then there's other properties here that are valued quite a bit higher. $50,000, $34,000, of course, $212, $128, $153, $513. There's property valued at $513 in Santa Clara. Now there's no address here, so we'd probably need to use the county the maps to be able to determine it. These we can see on different streets that they're available. So this list really looks to be a little bit different. I think it's a resale list where they're offering mostly land. Let's go ahead and check here just to be sure. Looks like it's really just a land sale. So these are probably tax deed properties that maybe got offered for sale, but their opening bid amount was too high, and so they didn't get purchased. And at $1,000, I'm sure that there's going to be properties in this list that are picked up at great value and able to make a pretty good profit on. So here we can see that there is not any improvements on any of these properties, but we can see that there's all type of values here. 319, 114, 50, 52, 46. So there's definitely a lot of values in some of these properties. 62. Here's a property that has a value of over $2 million. Again, starting with that opening bid amount of 115. Let's go ahead and click on this last one quick. So here's the parcel map. Let's go ahead and look back. D9, let's see. So we see the property is right here, right up from Sunset Boulevard. So it's this property right here, and would do some additional due diligence if we were interested in purchasing it. But obviously looks like Sunset Boulevard and Palisades right there. So it's right there within Los Angeles. But we could do some more due diligence if we were really interested in bidding on this individual property. Of course, now this list is a little bit different than most of the list because it's a land resale where they're just auctioning off all the different properties that may not have sold. Another property with $400,000. We can see it's on Maya Street, and from there we can really determine exactly where the property is using the map system and also the online satellite images that are available. Now let's go ahead and do a couple of other research. Also, one thing I want to show you is the San Bernardino list. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but you can see all of the different properties being auctioned: 375, 373, 374, 376, and 233. Now, these properties are all starting with an opening bid of $100. This is a resale as well. Getting near this time of the year, they will have some auctions, but they also do a lot of resales. California has, they don't sell all of their properties at the auction, which they usually don't. They end up doing what's called a resale on many of these counties, where they start all of the opening bids at a certain set price. So the properties in California, in Los Angeles that we looked at, started at $1,125. The properties here within San Bernardino are starting at $100, and then the properties within the San Francisco area is just a normal tax sale. Now, if we were to go ahead and click on these individual lists, we can see all of these different properties that are available. What I like to do is download the list and research it that way. We're not going to go through it just because of time's sake, but we'd go through that exact same process of downloading the list, reviewing the list, eliminating that list, and then start researching the properties on it. But just want to make it aware for investors that that may live within that area. Here you're really looking at $100 opening bids, and if you can acquire, let's say you can even, out of these 1,500 properties that are coming up for auction, you're able to acquire 2 or 3 of them for under $1,000 that are worth even, $50,000 or $30,000 a piece. You could turn around and essentially make a pretty good profit. And where you're paying, where you're starting that bid at $100, these may be even the type of properties that you just sit on and hold, because it wasn't a massive investment, and the property value is probably going to go up. And usually it's going up in a lot of areas since the market, the market took such a big hit over the last 5 years that most areas in the country are going up. We can, of course, see the Michigan tax deed auctions coming up as well, New York, the Washington auctions, and, of course, the Florida auctions as well. There's opportunities every single month in Florida with online auctions. And if you haven't, we're all located in different areas. I'm sure I have investors here from, even on this call, there's probably 20 different investors from different states across the country. And so we all living in different states. If you have auctions taking place within your own state, even if you don't plan on investing there, it's worth it to go attend one of these auctions, get a feel of how your county or city does it or your state does it, and also just get a chance to kind of experience that auction. So we can see all kinds of different counties taking place, all kinds of different auctions here. We can see Lee County's coming up, Lake County, Indian River, Duval, Citrus, Charlotte, Brevard. Here's Pinellas County, Palm Beach. Let's just go ahead and click on Lee County real quick. And, of course, we went over last week how you register, go through this process. Pretty simple process. If you haven't registered yet and you plan on investing online, only takes a few minutes. It's not going to cost you anything, so you can go ahead and do that. And then, of course, we can click on the auction calendar and see any of the auctions coming up. So it looks like we have an auction on the 28th. And, of course, we can see, basic information on this online auction. And just in looking at the information that's available, we can usually determine if it's a property we want to look at. They're going to give us the auction type, of course, tax deed, case number, certificate number, opening bid amount, and assessed value. So we're going to really look at 3 different things here. We're going to see that opening bid and amount versus the assessed value. Does it have a good bid to value ratio? Does it have some type of value? Then also we can see an address here. That's an important thing. If there's no address, it may just say vacant land, and it's not going to have an address. And so having an address is always going to be easier to do research on the property. Then, of course, here we also have the parcel ID. So, here I'm looking at a property with an opening bid of just under $6,000. It's only worth about $29,000, but, that assessed value is usually going to be low. The property may be worth, $40,000 or $50,000. We can check that out by a couple of ways. The first thing we can do is we can go ahead and copy that property address, we can also click on this parcel number, which is going to pull out the property. So we can see here we're actually looking at a single-family home. You know, really doesn't look too bad. Probably an older little single-family home. We can see it has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, just under 1,000 square feet, built in 1967. We also have the assessed value here is actually at $40,000. And then, of course, we can go ahead and go back here to Zillow, and let's see what the estimated market value is. So here again, the estimated market value tends to be about $50,000. Now, also, we can do a comparative market analysis on the property. You know, I go over the comparative market analysis in my home study program, how to do it. You can review that, and it's really just finding properties that have sold within the area that are similar to your property, figuring out what they sold for per square foot, and then determining that, and using that information to determine what your property may sell for. So if you find out that properties within that neighborhood sold between $50 to $60 a square foot that are similar to your property, then you know the property is going to be valued anywhere between $50 to $60 a square foot. Also, we can see these different little circles here, blue circle, red circle. These are properties that have sold or are currently for sale within this neighborhood. So we may be able to use this property here for 65, this property here for 52, this property here for 79 as a comparable for our property. So even though this one, may be valued at 51 and this one sold for 79, this may be a little bit bigger property. We can see that it is. It's about 300 square feet bigger. So it sold for a little bit more. This property here, we can see it's about the same size, 920 square feet. And so, it probably would be a pretty good comparable for us to use in determining the value of this property. Let's go ahead and pull it up just to see. So here we can see that this property is very similar to this property. We have a different color here, but essentially a very similar property. And so we know that this property is currently for sale for $51,000. Also down here below, you can see comparable homes. We can use this to find homes that have sold and comparable recently sold, comparable homes for sale, and we can use that information to help us determine what the property value is. But overall, let's say the property is worth $50,000 with a $6,000 opening bid. Does that have a pretty good bid to value ratio? Could you make money on that property? Absolutely. We just determine exactly what the condition of the property is, determine what we think it may need, and then, of course, what would be involved within it. Do we want to take it through the quiet title process? Well, we may need to include another $2,000 on top of our bid amount to go through that quiet title process, or have a lawyer go through it for us in determining how much we're willing to bid on the property. We can also, of course, check out the current street view and see how current the street view is, and we can check by looking down here below. So we can see with this street view, the property actually is a different color. It looks to be white. We can see this photo was taken in December 2013. We can see the property right here. And so since then, it looks like it's probably have been painted. So, that's something to look at as we're looking at the property. And then from there, if we decided we want to bid on it, we'd do a comparative market analysis. We'd register for the auction, and then, of course, we'd bid on the property. So you may decide, okay, the property is worth about 50. Maybe you determine that even if you want to be on the safe side, let's say it's worth 40,000. If you bid 10,000, would there still be room to profit? Well, yeah, there would be $30,000 for profit. Let's say that even if you spend $10,000 on the opening bid amount, and you put another $10,000 into fixing the property up, going through quiet title, getting everything ready to sell, you could still turn around and sell this property for $40,000 and make $20,000 off the deal. And so there's even in using those low numbers, or high numbers, I guess, depending on how you look at it, saying that you're going to put $10,000 into it, plus bidding it all the way up to 10 grand, and even though even taking the value down 10,000, it'd still be room for profit to make a good turnaround and make it a good flip. Here's another property with an opening bid of 10,000. Go ahead and click on that. Looks to be a very nice single-family home. Looks like to be a newer property. We can see right here that it was built in 1989, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. And of course, we could do a little search on it as well to see what the market says the property's worth. So, here we're looking at a property value of $289,000. Quite a bit higher than the market assessed value is. And you will see this in a lot of areas, throughout Florida, because they had such a big drop there where they, between 2003, 2004, 2005, they just rose their property taxes so high, and a lot of people quit paying their property taxes, and then as that bubble hit, those property values dropped dramatically, and now they're starting to go back up in value, but the county, usually will still have the value assessed pretty low. But here we can see, same information, built in 1999, it sold in 1998 for $95,000. It was built in 1989. Looks like it has a pool to it, attached garage. Overall, we're looking at a pretty nice property here. So looking at that $10,000 bid, even if we were only say it was worth $134 instead of $289, that $10,000 opening bid would be a pretty good bid to value ratio. And doing the comparative market analysis, let's just say that we figured out it was worth $200,000. We could determine how much we'd be willing to go up in that opening bid price. As I always say, the higher the value of the property, usually the higher you can go as far as that bid to value ratio. Is it 10% of the property's value? Are you willing to bid 20%, 30%? As the property goes up in value, you can bid a little bit higher because there's more room there to make profit. With a $20,000 home, you're going to want to keep that bid to value ratio low so that you have plenty of room in there to make profit because we're looking at lower numbers. But as the property goes up in value, you can have a higher bid to value ratio because there's more room to make profit. Here's a property, $4,000 with an assessed value of $176. Another nice single family home. And we're not going to go through just because of time's sake and look at each one of these properties or go through the research, but overall a very nice property. And then of course this property here has a $2,500 opening bid worth $1,500. Now I probably wouldn't look at this property. We can go ahead and check it out and just see what it is. It looks like to be a small strip of land. Really don't have a lot of interest in that property. Really because the opening bid amount versus the assessed value. Now the property may be valued at 5 or 10 as far as the market value, but that assessed value shows me that it's probably not a property I want to look into. Even this one, $5,000, $3,400. Here's one for $4,581. Now that has a very high opening bid amount, and there might be some different reasons why. Let's go ahead and check it, and I'll see if it is. Okay, here's the reason why. See the address right here? 605 Northwest 25 Terrace. That's the owner's address. What's also the site address? 605 Northwest 25 Terrace. This is an owner-occupied property. And in Florida, owner-occupied properties, if it's their only property, if they live in the property, then when the taxing certificate gets foreclosed on, the property has to start at half of the assessed value. So we see here the property is valued at $81. The opening bid is $45. That's around half of the assessed value. And so that's the reason this opening bid amount is more than a lot of the other properties we're looking at. So these properties here we looked at, 5,029, 10,134. These aren't owner-occupied properties. This isn't the property's primary homestead property. With a homestead property, that's where the bidding is going to go up. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it may not be a good value. Let's go ahead and do a little research real quick on it and find out. We'll go ahead and search it on Zillow. Okay, so this property has a Estimated value of 126. We can see a property up here in the street that's listed for sale for 159. Here's one for 132. So let's say this property was valued at $100,000. Well, you know, $45,000 is quite a bit of money, but that's a little bit better. You're looking at about 40% of the property's value, or 35% if we were to take just this straight Zillow value that they have listed here at 126. You're still picking up a property for 35–40% of its value. You could still turn around and make profit on that deal. Now you may not make $100,000, but you could make $30,000 or $40,000 on it. And depending on the property's condition and what's required, it may overall be a pretty good property. Now, here's something I want to show you. This here is a pretty current photo of the property. We can see down here at the bottom of this satellite image, we can see that this property has an image capture date of March 2015. So, this is only a couple of months old. So this is pretty much the condition of the property. So that's something, just good to know, is to look down here to determine how old the photo is. Here's one for $1,000 worth $11,000. Probably land, yes it is. $3,045. Looks to be a condominium. See right there. And so, that would be the properties that are available within that auction. We can go ahead and research any of those, and if we were interested in just investing here within Lee, we'd set up a power team with a real estate agent within this area. We would find somebody who would go through and do the quiet title for us. In a particular county like this, you could have your power team set up and just continue investing in that county throughout the year. We can see, here's an auction on the 4th, here's an auction on the 11th, the 18th, the 25th. And we could go through and research any of these tax sale lists and find properties for sale. Here's one for $2,900, has a property value of $45. A nice little single-family home. Here's a property value of $13,000. $13,000 opening bid, $222. So, actually looks to be like a pretty big piece of land, and then of course there's a home there as well. But this is really the process that you're going to go through, and really setting up a power team is going to be important, regardless if you're just doing tax lien investing or tax deed investing. If you're doing tax lien, you're only going to need some members of the power team, and as your investments grow, as your investment strategies grow, then you're going to continue adding these members of the power team. Somebody to do a quiet title for you, somebody to sell the property if you're out of state, somebody to drive by and take pictures of the property. So again, I want to thank everyone for being on the line this evening. We're going to be going through due diligence next week, getting into how to do the more due diligence as far as actually going through doing comparative market analysis, determining the value of the property. So again, I want to thank you for being on the line tonight. Let me know if you have any questions. You can go ahead and email me. Also, of course, we're adding a new tax sale list, new auction list coming up, and there's always going to be additional training on the website. So again, I want to thank you for being on the line. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.